Alrighty. We should be going live any second now. Whoa, what the? Lady Mist, you are fast. Oh, wait, unless. Oh, wow, that's weird. That's a weird glitch. Okay, so I just started a stream through a different method, and I'm seeing messages from my last stream. So now I need to, like, fix that before it causes any problems, because that was not my intent to name this stream the same name as as I did the other day. In fact, shoot. Okay, save it, erase it. Crap. Save. Okay, there we go. So yeah, apparently we have chat messages from my last stream when I was streaming from a tunnel. Well, I wasn't streaming from a tunnel. I was streaming from, you know. This is super glitchy. I gotta cancel this. This is not working the way I expect it to work. All right, let's try that again. Let's try. Shit. Okay, we're already live. Yeah, I need to fix some settings here because right now I don't think it's even letting people chat. So we got to click a button here, save it, and now we should be good. So yeah, anybody who's tuning in, just give me 2 seconds to fix some things. What happened was I mixed up some things here. Okay, what is the name of it? I wish I could remember the name of my stream from yesterday because I just renamed it. I just renamed my stream from yesterday. I'd really like to give it the correct name. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to have the name I gave it yesterday. What up, JLM? Hey, do you remember the name of the stream I did yesterday at like somewhere around 8 o'clock? I was like getting off work. I think it was called Something and Commute. I just can't remember what it was. Something and Commute. Let me think here. Oh yeah, Astronomy and Commute. There we go. Okay, that's it. Good. Okay, we got it. Yeah, so I have a different keyboard on the side, a little Bluetooth slash 2.4 gigahertz dongle keyboard. And I actually have a Vstream link today for people to join the stream. I might not advertise. I'm going to just see like who pops into the chat and if anybody expresses interest in joining, or if anybody, what do you call it? If I just want to give out the link, I mean, you know, anybody who is already present is more than welcome to join, of course. But what I mean is, you know, I don't know, like, on one angle, when you get guests in, then you feel obligated to keep the stream going longer. So I'm like a little bit like, I don't want to run forever. But anyway, how you doing? Anyway, I'll show you what I'm working on here. And I was watching a guy named Shagsworth, and he's a pretty good content creator, I gotta say. And he's on Rumble Live right now. I'm not gonna watch him this second, but oh my god, they're looking at the fat beauty queens. Anyway, but that's besides the point. So yeah, I started the stream. I thought I was looking at the right stream, but I was looking at the chat from the previous stream. And that's how we got here. So let me just get a couple of things sorted out. And I'll show you what we have right here. How you doing, JLM? Did I say hi yet? I meant to say hi to you like 2 minutes ago. I thought I did. I had a flashback and I didn't. So anyway, this is my Gundam model, and I'm done. I'm done. It's too much. No, I'm kidding. So this is the Victory Gundam version Ka. Ka is short for Katoki or something like that. And I think it means something, but don't ask me what it means. And so, of course, most of this is actually a real manual. Like, it's got normal pages, so I don't have to unfold it across my whole desk. But this centerfold is different because it allows you to see the different configurations for the Gundam and how to put it into those different configurations. So that's what we're looking at right there. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'll show you briefly the box that it came in, because I think that's really important considering it cost me enough. It cost me $75 actually. Can you believe that? And it is a huge box. Look how thick that box is. So, you know, I think I just got delivery of this, last night when I got off work. So maybe I got it today. It came in the mail today. Yeah, I didn't have this yet. I did not have this yesterday. It's similar to my other Victory Gundam, except that so far I still have all of the parts. And the first thing that you build with this is the core fighter. And what's cool about building the core fighter in this particular model is that you can actually morph it. You know, you can make it change configurations. So that's what we're gonna do. Unfortunately, my camera might not be in the best place, and you know, for anybody watching, let me know if you want me to try to move the camera around. I did it last night, like you know, just for fun. I was like seeing what position to put my camera in, and I had a pretty good position. But what happened was, I was invited on a friend's stream, and once that happened, I decided to like move the camera out of the way. In fact, yeah, I was on floor from under a rock, so I moved the camera so that it wouldn't be in the way, and I had to also I had to put like I had to paint pieces of paper blue in order to create a what do you call it, a blue screen, because my green screen wasn't going to work with one of the things. I was wearing a mask and the mask was yellow, so it wasn't really working with my green screen properly. So I have that, and then some people apparently they have a green screen that flips over between blue and green, so that's another option that I might look into. I was thinking about taking a gamble and playing a YouTube video about the doomed Franklin expedition and see if it gets like struck down or struck out during playback, because I could play that in the corner of the screen and we could just see if I could monitor this so-called stream health, and it'll tell me in the corner of the screen if like it's something that, you know, is what do you call it, like owned by somebody else. And you know, so YouTube will warn me if I am doing that. But I have a feeling the quality of the tape is so old that I might get away with it. So this is a glass file here, and this allows me to remove those little like nubs of plastic, but I got to be careful because the glass file can remove a lot of material in one fell swoop. So what I'm doing is I'm putting my finger over the rough edge, and I'm just making sure I can only hit the rough edge and nothing else with the glass file. What's up, Lemon Pie? Good to see you. So I'm working on the V2 Victory Gundam. Not really the most interesting stream per se, but I figure just drop in and say hi. Hell, I'll even share out a link for anybody who wants to join. Even though like I'm wondering, like if my attention span gets lost, I want to end it early. As soon as I have trouble ending a stream when there's multiple people, although I think this time I won't be shy. I'll just say, yeah, I'm getting tired, or I want to play video games alone. Oh, video games. If I get bored of doing this, maybe we'll play a little pod racer. How does that sound? And I'll still invite people into the stream. We're already in Restream Studio mode, which is good and bad. It's good because it means people can join. It's bad because I tend to have quality issues on fast-paced streams when I'm doing that, you know? So, you know, that's the issue. But yeah, so we're just using this thing here to like, and yeah, I got blue paint all over me because I was trying to paint a fake blue screen today. That's, you know, basically what I was doing earlier today. All right, so I think we're going to switch to multi-grit sandpaper now. We're not going to be too aggressive about the sanding because I learned that with the RX-78-2, which luckily that was a low-grade model, so there wasn't really like a lot for me to mess up on. But this one here, you know, unfortunately they don't give you duplicate parts, so if you mess up on a single part, it's like you're screwed unless you buy a whole separate model, and that's fine on an $11 kit, but on a $75 kit, I'm not so inclined to buy two of these, right? You know, I mean, common sense. Why would I want to go through that? That just sounds traumatic. So I think we're basically already good. I'm just double checking, making sure there's nothing else Yeah, so it could be a little tedious doing this correctly, but we don't want to leave any like sprues or cutting marks on the edges of this, right? So we sand them away, but then like if you're a perfectionist, you end up with these like little edges that like I mean you end up with these rough spots if you sand it. So now you got to find a way to sand it where you can smooth it out. So that's sort of what I was doing, and it was interesting. Yesterday I learned, I think was it JLM who told me about using like high grit sandpaper with oil, and I knew about wet sanding with water. I didn't know about using oil. I mean, I guess it makes sense because when you sharpen certain tools, you use honing oil, I think it's called. It's the same concept, I guess. But with that oil at high grit sandpaper, you can take an eternity to get the job done. And so I think it's important balancing out, those two things, so that's why like I stopped using like the 5,000, 7,000, 10,000 grit sandpaper. And I just go between these three types of sandpaper right here because they seem to be doing the job well enough. And it's just better than going through like every freaking like level of grit, like you'll be here all day going from like 600 grit to like 5,000 grit, and like I think once you get to 1,000 grit with the sanding sticks that I have, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,000. In fact, they skip 6,000, I think, with my set. But either way, it's like that could get tedious. I mean, by the time you're done, you'll end up with like properly smoothed plastic, but it's like who wants to spend time doing that? I don't even know if I'll get. My goal is to just do the core fighter today. That's it, the core fighter, and I'm done. Like for today, I don't think I have the patience to go any further. Only difference is that I will continue it. Whereas last time I did one of these, I stopped like for years. I took a multi-year break, and that's part of the reason why I misplaced the core fighter to the other model. Okay, so we got the front and back of the head. We got the front and back of the head. And yeah, it looks like we have all of the key components here. So let's see how far we can get here. So let's see, the picture tells me take the helmet. And that's not a helmet, but I'm going to call it a helmet. And typical of any Gundam series, here's the big reveal. Right now, I had to actually put decals on the head from the beginning. And usually I skip those parts by accident. So I'm glad I was paying attention to the manual this time. But it's the standard of all gunpla, which is basically, I don't know if gunpla actually means anything, but it basically refers to the plastic Gundam model kits that I'm working on right now. And so most of the parts, just about if not all of the parts, will more or less snap together like that. Like just now you see how like we just pushed that in on this internal component, and then you do the same thing here. Like we got this gray piece has the little gray, Vulcan cannons, which are like little Gatling guns, sort of like on a fighter jet. And then let's make sure I'm not skipping anything. Yeah, it looks like so far I'm looking good here. So give that a good push. This time I'm not going to try to hide the panel line, at least not at this stage. Although it looks like it could use a little more sanding here. I am reluctant to do some sanding right over here, I mean, like I have like a little bit of a like spot here. looking a little better. The right side looks nicer. Oh yeah, and I didn't put the chat up on screen, but we could fix that. There we go. And even if nobody chats, I just want to have the option for it to be on screen. Okay, so anyway, now to tell me put the yellow antenna on first. So luckily that seems to have like a nice key shape. No problem, Slim Nim, I understand. But thanks for saying hi and for potentially hitting that like button. But if you don't hit the like button, that's okay. I forgive you. No, I'm kidding. But let's see here. Yeah, so there we go. Might play some pod racer if I get bored of this, but I'm trying my best to like keep my attention span in place, Okay, this is the part where like I'm probably gonna drop a component. I better take a good look at the picture here. Oh boy. All right, let's remove that part. So I see that there was a little bit of an extra sprue here that I thought this little square piece was maybe part of the locking, but it looks like now that piece is supposed to come off. All right, we'll take that piece off right now. Man, that was a hell of a night yesterday. I'm very curious about that kid. I'm assuming it was a kid who drops in, asking to be mod. Very insistent, right? But that wasn't the weird part, really. Like, it's like maybe the person just wants to be mod. But I told him, like, that's responsibility and stuff. You might not like it. But the way the kid was like, go play your game. Like that. I was like, I get it that you're here to watch me play a game, but, it's not the place. You don't just go on YouTube to tell persons dance monkey dance. You know what I mean? Like, that's just weird. And I wonder what the deal is. Maybe the dude just is not socialized. I don't know. But that was a hell of an experience yesterday because, like, I think it reminded me of a time like a year earlier where the same thing happened, and I was like, but I don't want to hold against someone if like maybe they just that's the way they are. Like. Everyone's allowed to be unique, and as long as like they're not trying to be assholes, they just maybe come off that way. I'm willing to, not hold it against somebody, right? And only things I remember one time someone was rude to me, and they told me they were autistic as an excuse, and it's like on one angle maybe that's true and that's cool, but I swear to God, if this is that bullshit where people get diagnosed with autism like late in life, and then they're pretty much normal, and I don't mean to say that autistic people are not normal, but you know, just kind of, like you got different levels. Okay, I almost forgot a decal, and I'm really glad that I checked before I finished putting this entire piece on. So if I kept going with this piece here, there would have been like, it would have been impossible to put the decal over here. So that's going to be decal number number 5. Hope I didn't use the wrong decal on the front. Anyway, let's see. I put that one in the bottom of the bag so I would like be able to keep it safe. And there's a ton of water slide decals on there. All right, good. We never used number 5 yet. Yeah, you are QEPX. Yeah, man. So I just want to honestly know, like, like, I mean, look, I like try to get along with everyone, but I mean, it is a valid question. Like, what's your, why do you want to be a mod? Did I ever meet you before? I don't know. Like, I'm just genuinely curious if you were the guy who was here when I was playing Dirt Rally, like a year ago. I think it was a year ago because I met someone a year ago. I'm playing Dirt Rally, and I started talking about some way off topic shit, and this dude's like, go back to playing the game. And I don't know, I'll be honest, like, I'm not accustomed to that, hearing that from people in the chat. So when, you would, being similar yesterday, you reminded me of that time. So I'm wondering, maybe you subscribed a year ago. And if that's the case, then I got to thank you for subscribing because, I appreciate your viewership. India, that's fucking cool. All right, that makes sense. I mean, I don't know much about India, but of course, being in New York, we certainly have a lot of people from all over the world here, My grandparents came here from Italy at the turn of the century, for example, and actually part of Eastern Europe as well. And I have more than my fair share of friends from India, no doubt about it. And India is a pretty interesting place. I mean, there's a lot of things in India. You got the Indian, school, what is it, IIT? Hey, I'm sorry if I'm putting you to sleep, man. This is a boring stream. I'm not even playing Pod Racer right now, I do want to play Pod Racer though, but yeah, how long have you been subscribed? I mean, you don't have to tell me if you don't want it, but I'm just wondering, are you new? Have you been subscribed before? Have you watched me before? Were you that guy from a year ago? That's what I'm curious about. Do they have retail stores in your part of India? Because I feel like you might be the type who demands quality customer service when you go to a store. I could be wrong, but like my brother's wife, like I know, well, she's a bit different than both of us, I'm sure, because she's a woman. But but jokes aside, like I hear she could be like a bit pushy at restaurants. Like she'll like snap at the waiters and shit, and it's like, be nice to the waiter, girl. But on the other hand, if they mess up your order, you gotta be, you gotta do. Yeah, so this is an absolute pain in the ass right here. This is the back of the Gundam head. I gotta put this decal down, and I gotta get it more or less straight. I mean, certainly trying to make it go on straight. But I say this, I think they, I would say English is good, but I also understand they speak English in India. I think it's one of the main languages. But I don't know if it's like, it's certainly not the only language. I know there's a lot of languages there. But, like, I mean, it's pretty cool. Show me your room. My mama taught me, my late mother, may she rest in peace, taught me, well, not taught me, but she would give me hell if I showed people my room while it was a mess. And it's a mess right now. But otherwise, I would show you my room. I'll show you my wall. You want to see my wall? I'll show you the wall behind me. Unfortunately, you have to tune into a show called a channel called Floral from Under a Rock if you want to see. Actually, did I show my wall? No, what happened was I had a blue screen instead of a green screen, and I put the green screen back. But yeah, I'll show you the wall. I'll show you what the wall looks like just for fun. Right? There we go. That's my wall. And actually, what happens is you get like some shadow down here. So I put this bright green tape here, and as it gets darker, because the light, I only have like 3 lights up here, basically some bounce lighting. So this helps with the chroma key a lot. And then I just kind of like block out this corner so that during the daytime, the sunlight doesn't mess up the chroma key. I mean, it does mess up the chroma key, just you can't see it. I don't play Clash of Clans. Oh, let's put that chroma back on. And then this is the blue chroma key. As you can see, blue doesn't work on green. But like I said, I was wearing a puppet mask before, and the colors were clashing. All right, there we go. But yeah, Clash of Clans sounds familiar. I don't play it, but it does sound familiar. All right. I swear, this part of doing the kit build scares the shit out of me. Interesting. I think I vaguely remember watching or hearing people talk about it. All right. That's an entire Gundam head, complete with decals. Only thing is, I think they actually make metallic Gundam markers that would make short work of that, except then you gotta be... Yeah, this is boring. I'll be honest. It is absolutely boring, okay? I'm not promising an interesting stream right now. If I decide to play... Well, answer my question. Are you the person who visited my channel like nearly a year ago? Because that would make me consider making you a mod, but that's only if you can remember the specific stream that you were watching when I first met you, because then I would remember it. I'd know, oh yeah, you're the same guy. But even then, I mean, like, if this is the first time you're tuning in, I'm reluctant to make a mod because I don't know you. I mean, you know, like, we just met. There's people I know who I don't want to make mods. And also, then, you know, I'd have to, you know, you'd be responsible for stuff. And then what if, like, you know, what if you ban a friend of mine just for fun and then they get mad at me? I don't want my friends to get mad at me. I would ask you why you want to be mod, but if I ask you why as a condition to become a mod and you tell me why, then I have to make you a mod. But if you want to voluntarily tell me why you want to be a mod, I mean, sure, I truly am curious, you know. It won't make you a mod if you answer the question, but it certainly will satisfy my curiosity. It might increase the likelihood of me making you a mod because, you know, knowing why someone wants to be a mod. Usually modding is something that people choose to do, you know. An only person who's ever asked me to make them a mod was someone who made me a mod on their channel. And they did it because I was one of their most loyal viewers. And because he knew I know my stuff about Star Trek. And because I am the biggest fan of his other channel. So, you know, like, very tedious work right over here. But yeah, man, the ball is in your court. You know, if you want to tell me why you want to be mod, I mean, I'll give it consideration. I'm not promising anything. I don't know. It depends if I have the energy in me to do it. Right now, I just bought this model, $75 US. And, you know, I won't build the whole thing on stream, but we're already streaming now. And I want to see this thing, you know, get built. Well, at least I want to see some of it progress here. I want to get... I was going to say I want to finish the Core Fighter. At this point, my goal is to get through page 1. I'm on page 1 right now, and when I'm done with page 1, I think I'm going to take a break. Maybe I'll do 1 page a day or something, because, like, I don't know. Or if I'm really in a good mood, I could do, like, 3 pages in a day, but there's a lot of parts in here. I mean, like that's the leg. It's, like, telling you how to do left and right leg, respectively. You see, you got a lot of tiny parts for all of the articulation, and this thing is articulated. Okay, so right now I'm here right now. I just finished this. So now I'm moving on to this part here. And I'm a little confused at what I'm looking at, but when I understand, I got to take this part and attach it to this part. Then I got to cut out these parts, which is like 3 separate parts right there. So yeah, it gets a bit tedious. Like I said, I don't even know if I want to finish this whole page today, but I don't know. Like, I mean, I had a long day. I streamed earlier today on my friend's channel, Floral from Under a Rock. All right, F14 is the next runner. Thank goodness everything's been on the same 2 runners so far. It's getting cool outside, but my room is getting hot, and it's probably because of the heat that my computer kicks off. Hey, what up, Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective? I'm just working on a Victory Gundam, and so far I'm on page 1, doing the head, and the head is part of the core fighter, which is going to be as you can see, like the head gets tucked right behind the cockpit. And the legs articulate like crazy. This is like the bottom of the foot. It turns into like a high heel or some crazy shit like that. Like, because you gotta like fold the leg up a certain way, and then when you fold it up, you get a fighter plane. You get like the core fighter, as they call it in Gundam. And yeah, this is an intricate ass model. There's actually like a sniper scope that goes up on the eye. So, you know, normally the Gundam has like a sensor array like on Star Trek, right? So let's see. Okay, we're gonna get that in focus and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, it is, man. So right here you can see that little eye, and in the cartoon this comes down when he's using like a sniper gun or a long-range targeting sensor, and a little green light blinks on there. And you know, only reason I didn't want to install the sniper scope was because there's no way to retract it. Like, you have to choose if you want the sniper scope or not, and you can't take it out once you build it. So I was like, I better not. And when I get my phone back from repair, or if I'm in a, you know, adventurous mood, I'll take a picture or a scan of this and I'll get it translated, because I sure as hell want to read this. You know, I definitely want to read that. I gotta see if I could use Google Translate in the browser. Maybe if I run out of energy in a couple of minutes, I'll do exactly that. Uh-oh. Did I already drop a part? Maybe. Oh, here it is. So they got this. I didn't know they had Gundam models in Target. Now, this one's a pretty old one, so it cost a pretty penny, because it ain't the newest one. You know, like, I got one in Chinatown similar to this for $50. This one's selling for $75, and that's supposed to be a bargain, I think. And then they have one that's $130, but that one comes with 3 fighter planes, so you can like really transform that thing into different configurations. But for some reason, this particular Gundam series is my favorite. Okay, so we gotta see what I'm doing here. Identifying parts. All right, see you later, QEPX. Thank you very much for dropping by. QEPX seems like a nice fella. I don't know, you know, I was like, he wants to be a mod, and I say, look, man, it's responsibility and stuff, you know? But also, I remember when I'm playing a video game, he'll be like, go play the game. When I start talking, he'll be like, go back to playing the game. And I'm like, why, man? Tell me why. And he basically, his answer was, I'm in India. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Maybe, like, you know, if you're like, you know, I know India has that caste. I wish he was still here so I could ask him about this. But I know India has that caste system thing. I know they say they don't have it, but they totally do. And, you know, people in the higher caste, you know, I'd imagine they demand good customer service, you know? And so I'm curious if, like, you know, this dude is that personality. Like, when he goes to get customer service, does he show up and go and, you know, like, basically, like, treat the retail workers like shit, or just, you know, demand quality? Which demanding quality doesn't mean you have to treat someone like shit. So he may just demand quality, and I can respect that. But, you know, it's all good. Well, it's not all good, but he's all right. Hope my yawning isn't contagious. And if anyone wants to join the stream, I might accommodate you. Give you a link. So some of these parts have like weird imperfections on them, which is annoying. You can't really see it here probably, but there's like this little like swirl right there, little dark spot. It's not much, but it is an imperfection. And I gotta say, I did some tests on a simple Gundam. I did. Hey, what up, nerd? Poor real life form. Why, thank you. Yeah, man, no doubt. Long story short, I gotta say, I did a little enamel paint on a RX 78-2, and it looked amazing. But using enamel paint is an absolute pain in the ass. Makes the room smell like toxic fumes, and so I don't plan on doing the whole thing that way. This one, I'm not painting a single part of this because there's too many articulated components. I hear you, man. I hear you. One of these days, maybe I'll name the stream "Don't Stop, Carry On." That is arguably a better song. And then there's that song, what does she... No, wait, what the hell is it called? I can't remember what it's called now. The one when fucking Katarzyna shows up blind. Damn it, I know that song too. It's Kuno something... it doesn't matter. That's a cool song. But anyway, man, I don't want to hold you up. Godspeed on your stream. Are you streaming with anybody tomorrow? Anyone I know? Well, let me know. Leave it in the chat. Let me know. And if you, once you have the stream prepped, if you have a link for the stream tomorrow, let me know. I'll even pin that link to the top as a, you know, a pinned message link. But with that being said, Godspeed. Yeah, this shit's tedious right here. All right, focus, focus. B2 and B1, so I gotta find the B runners. Yeah, please hit that like button. B, to be or not to be. Wait, there's two F runners? Does that mean I get to make duplicate Gundams? Can I build two separate Gundams? Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe it's so you can build two core fighters, but these look identical. Why are they providing two? They wouldn't give you extra parts. So there's a reason they're giving you it. Maybe it's so you can build a core fighter that sits outside of the actual Gundam. Oh, cool, Pops. I still gotta watch the stream you did with Pops. That was a good stream. I'm assuming it's a good stream. How could it be a bad stream? But Pops always does good interviews when he does the "What's Your Story" streams and or episode recordings, uploads, whatever you want to call them. But like he does good streams and good uploads, like especially the "What's Your Story," and so that should be fun. Oh, you heard it here. Notorial will be streaming with Pops tomorrow. And Pops has a really good channel. He's a gentleman too. He's a good guy. Yep, there we go. See, this area, I'll either sand it or maybe paint it a little bit, but I really don't want to paint any of the moving parts. But I definitely will sand it just to get rid of that. And that require a little more effort because right now my goal is to only sand down the parts where you cut the model kit off of the runners. When you cut the parts off the runners, I don't want to be sanding anything more than that. Okay, that's apparently they have B and B1, B1 and B2, so that should be fun. There was a dog helped the grandfather find his gores. It was a melancholy. A melancholy. That's kind of funny. I think I get it. My coworker got a couple of dogs, and this girl, she went over the top, yo. She took her dogs to like dog school, and like took some graduation pictures, and one of the dogs is wearing a freaking like a gown, a cap and gown. The other dog is wearing a tie. And sometimes it's just a matter of like going through the runners to figure out what part is located where. Just kind of knowing your way around all of the parts can make a big difference, you know? Because right now... Okay, that was letter E. This might be letter B right over here. This set of blue parts here, but... No, this was letter B1. B2. Oh, okay, wait. So there's B1 and B2. Ooh, that's interesting. Driving, Tommy in the Guinea Pig Collective, it says, I'm driving myself crazy right now with a Hexbug battle butt, yeah, battle butt, like this. That's a battle butt. Anyway, where was I? I'm driving myself crazy right now with a battle bot. I'm sorry, Hexbug BattleBot custom creation. Finding the right parts is time consuming. Oh, well, yeah, I guess being, especially a custom creation, yeah. Wait, this is E, not B. Crap! I hope there's no missing parts here. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm sure there's no missing parts, but... Okay, that's B2. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is it. Okay, I found it. That was B1 and this is B2. I think basically they represent different sides of the body or something like that. I'm a little confused. I have two parts that look identical. And it looks like the manual is telling me I only need one of them. All right, let's go to F26. F. Scott Fitzgerald. What does the F stand for? F? I'm not going to say it. Yeah, today when I went on stream with Floral from Under a Rock, I joined him and, what's his name? Snacks and Comics. And, you know, he joined the stream, I mean, which was nice, you know, because he's the one who, he's the puppeteer who operates Gator. And Gator is a sick puppet. So, anyway, because this dude showed up, that was helpful because I otherwise would have had to, like, do more because I was not prepared to do the Wilton voice. You know, and it's a tough thing to do sometimes. Okay. So if I'm reading this right, this goes into this. But before we do that, let's just make sure we don't have any rough edges. All right, that should be fine. Okay, so according to the picture, I'm orienting this just like I see in the picture. It's telling me to take this and do this with it. And it looks like it does snap together. Now from there, I think it does that. Oh, I see. This little gray bit here goes inside here. There we go. I had to make sure I was looking at it. There we go. So that's, you can see what's going on there. I don't know what it's for yet. We're just gonna keep going. All right. So now it's telling me to put the head on. Well, where's my head? So this part should be pretty trivial. We just got to be careful not to ruin it. There we go. See, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? It looks like it might even turn the... Oh, whoops. I got to... Wait a second. This head doesn't turn? Maybe... Oh, anyway, we'll just leave it alone. It looks like this does not turn, and it looks like it's designed to, like, do all kinds of rotational stuff so that, you know, like, it's for transforming. So that's probably why the head doesn't appear to turn unless I'm overlooking something. Right now, it doesn't look like the head turns. I'm not going to try to turn. Oh, there we go. It turns. It's just a little bit rough, the motion. That's all right. I want it to be tight. Maybe that collie can help with the explosion at the cheese factory. Debris everywhere. That's so bad. I love it. It's so bad. It's a great joke. Sometimes a joke just being terrible can be great. Can make it good. You know what I mean? Like, hey, there's hair in here. There's gray hair in here. See? This is from an overworked Japanese worker in a factory working at 18-hour work days. Now, I'm sure it's actually just stringing from the plastic machine. But it is funny to imagine overworked Japanese people. I mean, not that it's funny that people get overworked, but, you know, you gotta laugh at something when you get to when you have to karoshi yourself, you know? Better than Harry Curie. Or is it? Maybe Harry Curie would be better. Anyway, I shouldn't be talking about that. Right, F10 goes to the right. Yeah, so I try to put them in the right order according to the manual. And there's a F27. These parts in this particular runner right here are made out of ABS, which is, you know, it's a type of plastic. And if you ever try to 3D print with ABS, you'll read, or you better, you know, have some ventilation because heating up and burning ABS plastic will, what do you call it? I'm sorry, I said that twice. Emit toxic fumes. It just does. It's just how it is. And so usually what you would do is you'd hook a dryer vent up to your 3D printer. Now, I'm hoping that these parts being internal don't require a lot of cleanup. Okay, let me just... Oh yeah, okay, good, we got this. Debris. That's fucking... Man, I love it. Yep, this part, this wishbone, it looks like a wishbone snaps together. When was the last time I found a wishbone or broken one? I don't remember. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter, I guess. It's not like a real thing. Uh-oh. So, I think we could just flex this apart and get the part in. But I think I was supposed to line this up in the beginning, and I didn't. So, that's okay. We're going to finagle this. Yeah, so you can see what's going on there. And I have to give it like a nice firm push on each side without destroying it by accident. There we go. Oh, I snapped one side in and the other side snapped out. That's good. There we go. Coming together right there. We got like a nice, setup there. We got some stuff there. Like, this looks like something. It's starting to take shape, so to speak, huh? Oh, we get to put the chest armor on. That is B2 and B1. Let's see what that looks like. I think this is B2. B2 13. All right. So we do have a pressure mark here. Hope I can get rid of it because I hate when that happens. All right, it might be coming off. Let's see here. Yeah, that was a funny joke. wonder why they call it a border collie. I have to look that up one of these days. One of it's like, you know, like my friend had a mini Doberman, and mini Dobermans are known for being like small because that's sort of what lets them go and look for mice. They can get into tight spaces and stuff like that. So normally I wouldn't want to rough this up over here, but we're roughing it up to make it even and symmetrical with the side that needs to be roughed up in order to get rid of the imperfection in the plastic. And we're just going to use same routine, low grit, medium grit, higher grit. Yeah, so far, you know, we've been streaming for probably like an hour, or yeah, about an hour now. I've been streaming for an hour, obviously. And, you know, I have a link if anybody wants to join. Although, you know, like I say, at some point I'm going to play Pod Racer or just call it quits. But probably play a little Pod Racer. I'll try not to get too addicted to it because I want to, you know, watch Fang of the Sun Dugrum. It's been my jam lately. It's anime, mecha anime, about a mech called the Dugrum. It's not quite as big as a Gundam. It's pretty small for that matter. And what happens is basically they have these mechs in the series, but the resistance group on the planet Deloyer, which basically there's a resistance movement because there was a revolution. But initially, hey, what up, Real Weight Nation Gaming Clips? Everyone who is not subscribed to Real Weight Nation Gaming Clips, please consider subscribing to his content because he puts out gaming clips like once in a while or every week. I see him in my notifications often enough that I can tell. And also Real Weight Nation Gaming Clips is a gentleman as much as a content creator. So that's always cool, you know? It's good to have friends. As Londo Malari from Babylon 5 says, it's good to have friends. Of course, that was a sad episode because Michael Garibaldi, you know, was going to meet him after, you know, getting off duty. But he couldn't meet him because of some, like, weird incident going on. There was some, like, political drama, and it just wouldn't be, like, proper or professional to meet up with Londo. So he had to, like, stand him up. And it was just super sad. So, only issue I have when I sand a part down in this manner, it doesn't come out quite as smooth as it was before. That could be a good look sometimes, but now we have this like shiny piece in the middle and we have this like somewhat rough piece here, but I'm not particularly interested in like working my way up to like 5,000 grit sandpaper to make it perfect. So I think I basically stop at 1,000 grit and move forward. I'm not painting it because there's too many moving parts. Hey, what up there, Angry Canadian? Good to see you. Hey, I'm curious. I meant to message you about this. How did that video thing work out? Because I couldn't find an issue really, or at least maybe I couldn't see. I don't know if it was my eyesight or if I just didn't have the eye for it. You know, where I just, you know, my brain and eyes together just missed it. But I was wondering if you ever resolved that issue, and if you did, what it took to resolve it. Because of course that would be instructive to me, considering that I couldn't even find the issue, or at least had trouble truly identifying it in a reliable manner. So I am curious about that. It was when you were showing me those Halo clips a while back. But of that, right now I'm working on a Victory Gundam. In particular, this is the V2 Victory Gundam, which one of these days I want to do like a show and tell stream after this thing's assembled, and I'll show like a Gundam that's painted like the V2 missile from from World War II Germany, because it has that very distinct like checkerboard pattern. But for now, I just want to, build the V2 Victory Gundam, of course, but, be cool to have that joke. I think it's the bitrate thing. Pretty sure I just need to record at super high bit rates. Maybe. Yeah, now one thing I noticed was, for me, I'm streaming through Restream Studio so that people could join and chat if they want. But normally, what I started doing recently was I started streaming when I play games, or just in general, streaming directly from OBS to Restream. because whenever I went to the web browser and used, virtual camera, which is what we're doing right now, this time we're actually doing it see? So basically when I did it through virtual camera, I found that the image would get super blurry, or you get like massive macro blocking or some combination in between, and it just wasn't pleasant, So I freaking that was my solution, or not solution, but that was what I ended up doing, was just streaming directly from OBS. And YouTube claims you can only have 8,000K per second or 9,000K per second, so I do keep it within that limitation. Sometimes I use a constant quality factor of 20 or CQ20 instead of a bit rate. No. So I did experimental painting for the RX78-2, and hand painting is probably the way to go for me. I did experimental airbrush, and I gotta say, I do like the way that the white airbrush paint came out, but it took, enamel is a freaking operation, like, it's not something you just do before bed. But I was willing to do it to the RX78-2's parts because it's only a high grade, which is much smaller, and these parts aren't painted, but I painted other parts from the same kit because I had to buy a second kit because I lost this red piece. So I ordered a second kit just like this so that I can have that missing piece. And not only thing that's been painted is this part up here. I used Gundam marker to do the antenna. But what we're building right now is one of these. Obviously, this is a small one. This is a high grade. This one does not transform. It has a separate core fighter. But with the V2, so let's see if we can get this right here. So we gotta just... So the V2 Victory Gundam looks something like that. And hey, what up there, QEPX? Welcome back. And so basically this part here, you removed the one I'm building now, the arms come off as a integrated unit with the backpack, or with a backpack, and then basically the chest and torso, if that's what you call it, turns into a fighter plane, and then you can dock it with the legs or the arms, but nothing else. And then you're able to morph the fighter plane back into the, chest, and you'll have a cockpit on there, a door that opens where you can see the pilot on the inside. And literally, like on the model I'm building now, this part here will swing forward and become the nose to the fighter plane. So yeah, I'm not painting these. I did paint this one. I got to add some black linings to this now and clean it up. But this one definitely not painting because there's way too much articulation on here to paint. Like it would just be it would be a ton of bad news if we tried painting this. Let's put it that way. It would be a lot of bad news. It just would be. Doing a little alcohol rinse right now because yeah, I got a roll of toilet paper right now, but little alcohol rinse to rinse off the grit to make sure I can, don't have any white particulates from the sandpaper in there. Yeah, that should be fine. Hey, look, man, I did not promise I would not be boring today, QEPX. In fact, I kind of made the guarantee that I would be boring today. I did. I'm sorry, but I did promise I would be boring today. At least I'm keeping a promise, huh? But yeah, so Fang of the Sun Dugram, what I was talking about a minute ago. So the resistance group has a special mech, and this mech is interesting because the planet Deloyer, which is a colony world of Earth produces like, I think 40 or 80% of the agriculture for Earth. And so the resistance, they feel that, you know, they deserve to have a say at the table. Problem is that instead of, you know, being able to liberate themselves, their resistance or their revolution gets co-opted. And next thing they know, they become a subject of the Earth, but they make it sound like they're an equal, you know, participant in the government, but it's really just a way to kind of like infiltrate them or control them from the inside by giving a false, you know, sharing of control, you know, but really it's like wealthy business interests that are running the show, so to speak. And, you know, your main character becomes the resistance fighter more or less by chance. Well, not by chance, but, you know, series of events kind of lead to it. And the resistance has possession of a mech called the Dougram. And what's unique about the Dougram is, see, this planet has 2 stars. It's next to a nebula that creates interference for electronics. The computers have to run at a slower speed because of this particular, you know, type of, you know, nebula. They call it the X nebula or something like that. And so the computer inside the Dougram is able to work at full performance despite the nebula. And as a result, you know, this is an advantage that the Resistance currently has against the Federation. Different Federation than Gundam, but it's a Federation nonetheless. And that's basically in Dougram in a nutshell. And yesterday before bed, it was really late, but I watched one episode. Unfortunately, it was the recap episode, but that's kind of a good thing because I'm able to get caught up and remember anything I forgot before I go forward. But it has very ugly animation, which might not sound good, but you know, when something has ugly animation and it's still worth watching, you know it's got to have a good story, good, you know, geopolitical intrigue, and all that, you know, dry stuff that surprisingly becomes interesting. If I do any painting on this model, it'll be minimal. I do have a clear coat paint coming in the mail tomorrow, or a clear top coat that I can use if I do paint any of this. But like I said, I don't think this model is made for painting, because if you paint this model, you will, you know, start creating problems when it comes to morphing the model kit, transforming into different modes. So I'm going to avoid painting it, or if I do, I'm going to be very careful about what parts I choose to paint. And we have our resident penguin here. I'm surprised I didn't make you a mod, but that's okay. I mean, like, you know me, I like to limit the amount of mods I have. But Punkwaddle is Punkwaddle. Hey, Punkwaddle, good to see you, bud. Had a fun time on Floral's show today. We worked hard. Well, I didn't have a lot to say. I thought Floral wasn't going to talk at all, but thank God Gator showed up. Because like, see, that's the spirit. Thank you, Punkwaddle. CQEPX, I know this guy long and he doesn't even want to be a mod. But now, jokes aside, I'm not trying to rub it in here. I'm just having fun with everyone here. So, anyway, yeah, it was a fun stream, and thank God Gator was there, because like I was like ill-equipped to do, like, if I was gonna do that Gator voice, I needed to sit down and practice. Not Gator, that Wilton voice. I needed to sit down, and the problem was I spent so much time trying to do the blue screen, you know, preparation. Like, you have no idea how much time. First, I'm sitting there like loading my airbrush up, painting the sheet of paper, loading more, painting my airbrush, and doing another sheet of paper, and I'm like, this is taking all day. And at some point, like, I kind of just said, let me find a fucking my Best Buy shirt. And I used that to fill in the gaps, basically. Well, yeah, Gator didn't talk as much as he does on the Cotton Council, which is funny too. Yeah, I mean, like, I think he didn't talk as much because what is Gator gonna say? I even mentioned his freaking body pillow, right? And and Flo was like, he's like, wrong show, moron, Wilton. He's trying to keep that less than PG-13, right? And here I am making jokes about Gator's body pillow. So Gator could not be his deprived self. You know, I was trying to find the episode of the Cotton Council where Gator jerks off, and I couldn't find it. But one of these days, maybe it was back then I didn't realize there was a separate Snow Dub live channel. That's probably why I couldn't find it. Interesting. He kind of does, yeah, which is kind of ironic. Like it's almost like it's Flo getting all of the demons out of himself for the week. Oh my god, this one also has a defective plastic. I was really not trying to like sand this top part, but if I'm not painting it, I gotta sand it. And you can see right here, like, there's that little imperfection. It's not a big deal, but it basically means that now I have to sand a part that I didn't want to sand at all. This time I'm going to try something. I'm not even going to try low grit sandpaper. I'm going to try to use high grit sandpaper. If you did, you would have to be in a watered down Hulk. So those imperfections may go away with a top coat. Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Oh, wow. See, I'm trying to avoid the top coat, because I wouldn't do a top coat unless I did paint it with a Gundam marker. And the Gundam marker would hide the imperfections too. But, you know, like, the only reason I would use a top coat is to protect a paint job, you know? And the Gundam markers, they wash off. If you spill any alcohol on them, the Gundam markers wash off. So having a good top coat is more like to protect the Gundam marker, in my opinion. Gundam markers are convenient, but they're not like, you know, the best quality now. There is a method of like getting a special airbrush that holds the Gundam marker in front of the tip of the air nozzle. It's not as complex as real airbrushing, but it basically forces the Gundam marker paint to become aerated, and you can spray paint the surfaces of parts like this using a Gundam marker, which is really weird, but it works. And I did like a little test, but I didn't have it exact proper setup, but it worked. Yeah, so the Gundam markers are basically official Gundam paint markers. Like I have my, you know, a set right here, for example. And they're pretty good. I have a couple of different, I have a few sets I've accumulated over the years that I haven't used up completely, so that's nice. I don't have to incur a lot of expense. But yeah, acrylic paint, I even have acrylic paint markers, a few of those of different types. And actually, maybe my white acrylic paint markers might serve me well. And acrylic, my only problem with acrylic is like, you know, it's not bad. I just don't know like much about it. I need to practice more with acrylic. Weirdly enough, I have more experience with enamel, but you know, it's easy to work with acrylic. You don't need as much drawing time, but I do believe that the longer you let the acrylic set, the harder it becomes, or the better it becomes, so to speak. So that's kind of cool to be aware of. Really, is there any over painting? Huh. So I didn't know there was a thing known as thin paint mark. Is it that the tips are thin, or the paint that comes out of them is thin? Because I have like basically a few basic gold, white, I think gold, white, and silver. Rarely is there any over painting. I see, that makes sense. So that's kind of interesting. So what is it? The tip is thin, or that the paint that comes out is, you know, thin, so to speak? Okay, good to know. See, the problem with the Gundam markers is when you start trying to cover a wide area, you start running into weird issues with them, you know? And in particular with the Gundam markers, when you have a wide area, you'll start getting like you'll get like, what do you call it? I'm sorry, my brain farted. Like, it'll get blotchy. It's a known issue, and that's where like the airbrush like kit for the Gundam markers is a very interesting idea. And I bought a cheap one, but I need to get like an airline hose adapter, or I need to build something to do the job. So that's why like I'm not gonna use that at the moment, but those markers dry pretty quick too. Yeah, I'm just getting a little tight space on the side here. You know, I Snow Dub has the booty break. I got a turtle break. There's some turtles in the house. Nah, but joke aside, it's my homegirl, Puffy, right there. I forgot to feed her today. I should feed her tomorrow. I really got to spend some quality. Especially if I want to dress her up for Halloween. I'm going to need to, like, spend some quality time with the turtle just to, you know, get them in the mood to, like, be picked up and stuff, you know? I mean, like, I've been leaving them, like, alone. I feed them, but, you know, I don't bother them as much. I don't, like, oh, let's play. Took them out a few times during the summer, maybe not as much as I should have, but on the other hand, it's hard to choose. Like, sometimes they don't want to be picked up at all. Interesting. So, actually, so I wanted to go fancy, but then I was like, I reconsidered. I was like, gonna go and do what the It's a Gundam guy does. He has like, he did a video that goes over, and he was just like, spend $200, get the California Air Tools air compressor. It's the best compressor you can get for the job, and you can use it, you know, for like air powered tools in the future. And then I was like, maybe I'm going a little too far here, so I held off. But it's like, I don't want some noisy shit. I don't know, like maybe I should just go and get not be anal about it and get nice cheap air. What I do have, you know what I do? Oh, I left it in the bathroom, but in my previous stream, did I do a stream today? No, I think I just recorded a video. I didn't stream it. I have a unit. The pump is this big, and the airbrush screws to the pump like this, right? So it's like you screw it on. It's almost like you're holding a small bottle, and it has the airbrush on the top, and you just hold it like that. And it's pretty good, actually. Like, it's not terrible, but I'd imagine that something with more air pressure would probably, you know, be more, you know, just better. You know, maybe like it wouldn't clog as much or something like that. Yeah, like his videos, like, unfortunately, I don't watch them because it puts me to shame and it makes me feel like my content creation skills suck. No, I'm kidding. That's not why. But he has really good, yeah, he does. They're really good, yeah. So there's certain parts of this manual that confuse the shit out of me. Like, when you see a part number listed twice, but you only need to use it once. It's like, why are you showing me the part number twice? And like, you know, he's like one of those perfectionists who's like, he doesn't like the way they look without paint, so he paints them. But you really don't have to paint them, like, at all. It's just that, yeah, it is nice to be able to paint them if you can, but, you know, like a proper, like, airbrushing paint, or if you call that proper, like, that takes a lot of TLC, you know? Plus, like, it's easy to just cut the parts off the... I guess if I did airbrush properly, I would, like, put the parts on, like... I would splay the parts out and number them. I would put them on, like, a piece of foam board with numbers on them, you know, so that I don't mix any of them up. Because I think that's a big issue, is like misplacing parts. I definitely could stand to be more efficient with the part I'm doing right now, the way I'm doing the sanding and all that. I definitely could learn some tricks from people to be more efficient. But I'll take a look at the airbrush kits at Harbor Freight, because that's not a bad idea as a vector of research on my end, you know? So I appreciate that. Thanks, Tommy. And when you say, what did I say something? I don't even know what I just said. You said, sounds like the terms of service for YouTube. It makes no sense. Which part? Oh, yeah, the model. Oh, yeah, the two part numbers. I get it. I get it. Never mind. You don't have to explain it anymore. I get it. I totally get it. So basically, like, there's like those weird caveats where like somebody like sees somebody else do something, so they decide to do it too, and then they get reprimanded for it. And one thing I learned is like, unfortunately, someone else getting away with something is not a reason that you should be surprised when you get reprimanded, you know? And it's like that Sniper Wolf incident. Like, yeah, that girl was doing all this reaction content, and like it's not that transformative, right? Just her going, you know, laughing at it and nothing interesting. Then she doxes the guy for doing something similar, except his reaction content was probably a bit more transformative than hers, because the guy didn't have it in him to just be boring like her. I mean, let's be real, the boobies matter, right? That's why, like, you know, Team YouTube probably lets her get away with a little bit more. But, and maybe that feminism thing or something, but like, the guy, you know, I think the guy was getting some flack for it, and it's like, well, no, he's not in the wrong. The lady girl is in the wrong. Have been hit for the most benign things. So I've been getting away with, I don't know if I should say this out loud, but I've been getting away with murder at times. Like, so during a stream, I'll play like another YouTube video, and usually I'll just have to keep an eye on the stream health, and it'll warn you. Not that. There we go. It goes behind, but that's not what I was trying to show you guys. I think it's funny to have that Fujikawa girl. But what I want to show you was, like, I'll play a clip, or like I'll be going to an episode of Victory Gun, I'm skipping to different scenes, and it'll get flagged, and other times it won't. And when something gets flagged, I do this. Or if I think something get flagged, I'll put a pattern, or I'll put multiple patterns on top of each other that is similar to this. And the idea is that this is supposed to, like, I'm missing my other hexagon pattern. I guess I gotta fix up my settings, but I'm supposed to have like multiple layers of these hexagon. Oh, I know why, because I don't normally put them on this screen. Okay. But I'll put those on the screen when I'm sharing a video. And what happens is, if you look here, it'll say excellent connection, or it'll say like, this is somebody else's content, or this is copywritten. And so what I do is, like right here, it'll say if something's wrong, and then after the copywritten content has come and gone, it'll still say copyright content detected. But if you go to stream health, it'll show you like if the stream is healthy. And so if you get a message here saying copywritten content, you can hit the X to dismiss it, and it'll still show up in this log. It'll show up underneath stream is healthy. So essentially, the last time like this happened, it would say like, you know, copyright content. It would say here and here. Then it would expire, or the message, maybe I stopped playing the copywritten content, so that message that says copyright content would go down here, and then it would go back to stream is excellent, stream is healthy. But until you click the X button on this bar, this would become like a message bar here. It's still gonna say copyright instead of excellent whatever. So just something to be aware of, I guess, as a content creator. But then I remember my friend, he played like what was it, Star Wars, not Star Wars, Godzilla movies. And his stream got blacked out for about a minute, and then it came back. So I don't know if that's ever happened to me, but maybe I just didn't play the content long enough. I didn't play the content long enough to get flagged. I don't know, but that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And Tommy responds, I've been hit by, for the most benign things, most of my content, excuse me, most of my content is toys and guinea pigs. Yes. Well, there's the problem right there. You're making fun of Italians. No, I'm kidding. I know they're guinea pigs. Those guinea pigs are awesome. I like them. So do you ever get like flagged for like displaying a toy and getting some bullshit like someone reported this as copyright toys? Or reused content. It's like, yes, there's a guinea pig in every video. That's not supposed to, that doesn't mean it's reused content. Okay, so we got this piece here does that. And now it's telling me in the instructions to attach some more parts. All right, so this time I'm not going to cut off the doubles, because if I keep cutting off doubles, I'm just going to end up with more parts that are getting lost. So anytime I have an extra part, I'm going to put it in this bag. So I can always revisit it later. All right, let's cut the sprues off, or whatever they call it. Get this, Tommy says. Get this. I was hit one time for a hex bug battle, but I created it. Literally, that you created. So it's like, yeah, how do you get, you literally created a custom hex bug, right? That was hilarious. Of course, I got it removed. I had gotten it removed. Okay, well that's good. At least there's fairness. But it's like the idea that you gotta do something about it, or else potentially. Some people like the Titanic. Like they have that favorite maritime disaster, and for some reason the Titanic is it. That's nice. I know one YouTube I follow sometimes, and that's his shtick. Is like anything Titanic he loves. I don't know. Titanic's like, okay, a boat full of rich people and a bunch of poor people in the lower decks got, sunken by an iceberg because of issues with preparation. And there's some interesting conspiracy theories that are probably bullshit, but they sound compelling. But then it's like, problem is that when people make a documentary to like try to push an angle, it's like, sometimes, I don't know, like documentaries are like, you can say anything you want. I don't know. It's just like, give me a good source, a picture that's not captioned. It's hard to tell. That's cool. A Titanic model. Tommy has a Titanic model that he has never finished. So many damn pieces. Yeah, man. I mean, they couldn't just integrate. They couldn't do some prefab structures on that. Like, like I wish more model kits had some prefab going on in them, you know? So you could just like put them together. Or if there's a service where you send your Gundam model and then some guy prefabs like all of the tedious parts together and then you have to just do the simple stuff. That's lazy of me, isn't it? But yeah. But jokes aside, yeah, so Titanic's kind of interesting in some ways, but on the other hand, it's like too popular for my taste. My favorite maritime disaster is, well, at the moment, is the HMS Terror, the doomed Franklin expedition, which is when the HMS Terror and the HMS Erebus, which I think it's like, it's a nickname. It means like Forsaken or Gates of Hell or some crazy shit like that, which is kind of funny because I think the captain of the expedition was very religious. But anyway, there was a guy named Sir John, and he was involved in an earlier doomed expedition. He later on became the governor of Van Diemen's Land, which is really just Australia, basically, back in the day. And his wife was named Lady Jane. And after he was no longer governor, it was an interesting little scandal. It wasn't really him. He was kind of set up by some scumbag. You know how politics can get real dirty? And so anyway, all is well that ends well, but later on in his life, he's like 59, he's about to go on an expedition to find the Northwest Passage, which is basically a shortcut above Canada through the ice caps to get to Asia. But the problem is that they went to a part of the Northwest Passage that is known for freezing over. Like today we know it freezes over. They didn't know that back then. And it can freeze over like at random for like years on end. And they had like enough food for 3 years, maybe 5 or 7 years, but then we find out that canned food was fucked up. Now this is 1845, so canned food was a relatively new invention. But let's see what Tommy has to say. Back in the day when I was a young lad, my father had signed up for the Snap Type Model Kit Club. Every month I would get a couple of models. Most were very simple to put together. That's interesting. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's pretty cool. So, you know, basically the HMS Erebus and Terror, they go to Greenland. And before they leave Greenland, the officers and some crew members, they send letters back. So that's kind of enlightening because you get an idea of like, you know, where their heads were at before the mission. And then they make it too far for their own good because they have a very good ice master. And actually, I think at one point, one of the ships got damaged. So the second ship had to take lead. And these are bomb ships. Bomb ships is short for bombardment ships. And these were actually used in, like, I think the War of 1812. So remember that story where Francis Scott Key wrote the Star Spangled Banner? That happened because of the bombs bursting in the air over Fort McHenry. And one of the ships that was shooting these bombs in the air was the HMS Terror or HMS Erebus, or both of them. I don't know if both of them were involved, but basically that was like the, you know, the origin of that song, basically. And how does that work? Just gotta see how this part fits in. And yeah, so anyway, these ships were reinforced because they have mortars on them that are like, I think the mouth of the mortar, if a cannon is like this or like that, the mortar was like, had a mouth on it this big. And so you have this like big metal thing at a 45-degree angle. I'll see you later there, Punk Waddle. Yeah, you know, there's a reason Tommy, he's called me DJ Wilton, because I wore my Wilton mask today. See, that's my Wilton mask. I even have like a strap. And I even made holes in the eyes so I could see. And I made more holes so I could put my glasses on through the mask. That was fun, man. Thanks for tuning in, Punk Waddle. I hope I entertained sufficiently well. I hope you have a nice dream about the HMS Terror and Erebus getting stuck in the ice. And yeah, it kind of looks like Mo from The Simpsons, which is kind of interesting. Now that you mention it, man, I didn't know what to say. I was taken aback when you said that, but that's interesting. It is an interesting observation. But yeah, man, you have good sleep, night's sleep in that ice house. And speaking of ice house, that's funny because like, I feel like there's like a future tie-in here with Punk Waddle's ice house and the Inuit and Eskimo people that you know, they talk about in the book and in the movie and in the documentaries about the doomed Franklin expedition. Aye, sir. Catch you later, Punkwater. Pleasant dreams. So yeah, anyway, so I do think there is a tie in there because they sent multiple rescue missions after the crew were overdue. And basically, oh, I see how this works. Okay, all right, don't know. Let me see. I'll try this out. So they send these multiple rescue missions, and they find a note in a cairn, Cairn. And a cairn is like a stack of rocks where you can leave messages behind. And if somebody finds it, there's a piece of paper in it. It says like has 5 languages in print, and it says, "If you find his note, please bring it to the British Admiralty in London or to the nearest English consulate." And you know, I think it promises some kind of reward, but you know, just like bring this note, you know, to the British. So it's like if you're like part of a whaling ship and you see this like, you know, this pile of rocks and you see this metal cannon there with a note, you're supposed to take that note to the British basically. So when you get back home maybe or whatever it is, you know, there's different ways you could go about doing that. There we go. Okay, we've got one part snapped on, so we know what we're doing here. And so they find this note in a pile of rocks, and it says, you know, we got stuck in the ice. No surprise there. They've done this before. You know, ships have gone and stuck in the ice before, and they would just winter it out and live in the ice and play soccer outside the ship or whatever. And the note says, all is well, and we're going to stay in the winter, and yada, yada, yada. A year later, there's a note, like, if this is the piece of paper, I can even show you the note on Wikipedia if anyone really wants to see it. So you have like the written text over here saying latitude, longitude, signed by Captain John or whatever. Second time, the crew comes back a year later, but this time they're writing in the margin of the page. And they're writing along the whole margin of the page, and it basically says, all is not well. The captain is dead. And apparently, like, a crewman died like a day after the first note was left, unless that was just a fictional telling. But let's see, I'm going to find this real quick. So here it is. So it says HMS Terror, Erebus, and Terror. And luckily there is a typed up version of this, so we don't have to read the cursive. It says the date, 1847, I think. Latitude, longitude. Having winter in 1846 at Beachy Island, latitude, blah, 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 longitude, blah, 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 with something, something, something. Yeah, let's find it. But you can see over here it says, whoever finds this paper is requested to forward it to the Secretary of the Admiralty, London, with a note of the time and place at which it was found, or if more convenient, to deliver it for that purpose to the British consul at the nearest port. And it's got like 5 more languages in here. And then here's the frantic note that was written along the border of the paper. And let me see, does it actually have the text of the note here? All well. Party consisting of 2 officers and 6 men left the ships Monday, 24th of May, 1847. Lieutenant Gore and Lieutenant First Mate DeVoe. HMS ships Terror and Erebus were deserted on the 22nd. Oh yeah, so this is okay. So this was like the first note, basically, all is well. Then is the second note, and this is what they're writing in the margin of the paper, right? So 1 year later, April 1848, or I guess not exactly, it's like about a year later, a little less than 1 year later. And a year later, remember, okay, a year earlier, all is well, and we're going to just hang out in the ice for a year. Like they're literally saying like, oh here I read it backwards. I'm so sorry. I said after ascending Wellington Channel at latitude 77 and returned by the west side of Cornwallis Island, Sir John Franklin. Wait a second. Yeah, so basically they're spending the winter in the ice. This is where they went, and all is well. A year later, and there's just the people who dropped off the note. They had to take like a sled there and a team to put the note away. About a year later, Terra and Erebus were deserted. So barely a year later, after the note said all is well, now they're freaking abandoning both ships. The officers and crews consisting of 105 souls under the command of Captain Francis Royden Moira Crozier landed here in this latitude. This paper was found by Lieutenant Irving under the cairn supposed to have been built by Sir James Ross in 1831, 4 miles to the northward, where it had been deposited by the late Commander Gore. So the guy who dropped off the note a year earlier is dead. Sir James Ross's pillar has not, however, been found, and the paper has been transferred to this position, which is that in which the Ross pillar was erected. Sir Franklin died, so the captain of the expedition died on June 11th, 1847. So basically like 2 months after the first note was dropped off, the commander of the expedition dies. And the total loss of deaths has been 15 men to date. 9 officers and 15 men dead. So like that's what happened. And Captain Crozier took command of the expedition at that point. It became his expedition. And started tomorrow, they're gonna and start on tomorrow 26th for Backfish River. So basically their goal is to like drag some boats on the back of sledges. They took the lifeboats and the whale boats and they put them on sledges or sleds. And they got the men dragging these across the ice. But the problem is that their provisions aren't holding out. The canned food, half of it wasn't sealed properly. As it turned out, the guy who ran the company that did the canned food didn't really treat his employees well, and it was a rushed job, and it kind of like was one of those situations where he's like the lowest bidder, and he overpromises and sort of underdelivers, and the Admiralty was fine with it. And so now people are getting botulism from bad food. And if they did get to eat any seal meat, their bodies are not adapted like the Eskimos to eat seal meat. So there's that. They look at the soldering like of the lead that seals the cans, and there's like dripping like molten like lead on the inside of the can. And some of that lead got into their diets, like directly into their diets. So, like this, like some of the people might have literally gone insane from lead poisoning. We don't really know. But it got pretty wild, as you can see. All right, F-29. So I don't know if anyone was listening, but I hope that if you are, that was interesting. Or moderately interesting, at least. Don't know if I'm going to play Pod Racer tonight, but... What time is it? Oh, it's 2:44. I think I'm better... wrap it up too. So this part here, that's pretty nice. That slid right. Oh God. Okay, that was Okay. Let's see here. We got F-29, B-11. I can't wait to eat my dinner. Oh, I did eat already. Second dinner. Second breakfast. Like a hobbit. Yeah, so someone asked during the floral show, they're like, what do you call those hobbits in the, Rings of Power? I was like, I made a joke, I was like, Tenderfoot? They're called Harfoots, but it reminded me of the Boy Scout Tenderfoot badge rank. But it's so weird when these franchises, like, do this bullshit where, like, they want to, like, do something in a universe because they want to, like, claim, like, I guess, like, some, validity or something. But then they can't just, like, they buy incomplete rights or some weird shit. And so they have to, like, like Star Trek, I don't know if it was a real legal thing, but, like, supposedly there was that thing that, oh, it has to be this much percentage different. And true or not, they certainly strived for making it that percentage different, right? And I watched Star Trek Discovery. Not all of it. I watched like basically part of season one. I think I watched all of season one, and I watched like the first episode of season two just because I wanted to see the original Enterprise. And at that, I was like, "Fuck this." And Star Trek Picard was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be in the prime timeline," and then you get these jerks, and they're like, "Oh, but the prime timeline just means, after the movie with J.J. Abrams." It's like, no, no, that's not what that means. That is not what it's supposed to mean. Get out. Okay, this is very interesting how this works. So this bottom piece clips into place, and then there's like a sliding mechanism that goes inside there, I believe. That's like what's basically happening there. If I'm understanding this correctly, there's a sliding mechanism. Either that or I just put it in wrong. Oh, okay, maybe it does stay like that. All right, well, let's see. We're going to just have it. I can't watch any of the new stuff. It gives me indigestion just thinking about it. Yeah, man, I hear you. Like, I watched season one of Picard, part of it. Did I watch the whole piece of shit? But I didn't like it. And I was like, that's it. I'm not watching more. I don't care what someone tells me about season two. I don't give a shit if Seven of Nine is back. Like, it's a, I know fan service, and sometimes fan service can be good, but I'm like, I don't care. Like, I don't give a shit about Seven of Nine and her girlfriend Raffi. In fact, did I watch season two? Or was she doing the lesbian thing with Raffi in season one? Well, maybe I did watch. No, well, I didn't watch. No, I didn't watch season two because I didn't watch any of that time travel with the Borg shit at all. And I watched Loki review it, and I was like, yeah, I'm glad I'm not watching this shit. I'm like, sorry that Loki had to watch it. But yeah, I'm just fascinated by that maritime disaster because I mean, my God, they're spending like time in the ice during the 1840s. I mean, holy cow! And like during the early expeditions, and apparently like the ice master on the ship. He's basically his job is to read the ice. Like he can like literally like look for cracks in the ice or try to figure out like where you can like put dynamite into the ice to like make it split up so that the ship can navigate through it. And he was a pretty vocal opponent of like Sir, what was it, James Ross? Because I think the guy had like an attitude. He was like, if you're sick and you can't pull the sledge, we're leaving you behind. Like, not very sympathetic to the sick people. There was a place in Orlando and an exhibition in Myrtle Beach. Ripley's. Oh, Ripley from fucking. I love Ripley in Alien. No, I'm kidding. Ripley's Sea Museum that had Titanic relics. That's really cool, actually. Yeah. I was gonna say Ripley from Alien. Sigourney Weaver. All right. Yeah, especially the Titanic, especially relics from the. I guess are these relics that were retrieved from the sea floor. That's really cool. Or from the Titanic wreckage. That's really cool. And in fact, so they didn't find the wreckage for the HMS Terror and Erebus until like 2015 and 2016 or something like that. And in fact, the Terror was found in Terror Bay, which is just like ironic that they named the very bay that they didn't know it was in for like over 100 years. They didn't know it was in there. And Captain Sir John, he like had his fine china on the ship, so he could eat on fine china when having, officers mess. And I would love to like pirate that shit. I would love to go like, charter a boat and take Captain John's, not all of it, just like a couple of plates, like of the captain's china from 1840, and like maybe eat on one of the pieces of china just for fun at home. Just be like, I'm eating on Sir John's china. And then keep it in the china closet and never touch it again because that shit's like a relic. But Parks Canada, their parks department, so to speak, they basically are pretty strict about, going near the wreckage. And I get that, and it's probably a good thing they are strict because, otherwise some what do you call it when someone's not, a sketchy person, sketchier than me, would have already probably tried to retrieve the artifacts. And I also want to know if any of Captain Crozier's whiskey was left behind, because he was all about drinking whiskey, supposedly, according to the fictional book I read. In fact, I should find out if that's even true. And what's weird about this expedition, there might have been 2 white men who survived. And I say white men because the Inuit people reported on stumbling into like a couple of men from the expedition, like possibly up to 12 years after the expedition. Now, maybe they weren't, but for a while, there were separate parties of men dragging supplies and sledges across the land. And that was kind of like weird how there was a disorganized, exodus at some point. No doubt. It is getting late, man. Thanks for talking. Thanks for dropping by, Tommy. Hope I shared something interesting. And, I'm going to try to make a habit of sharing out the link or making an open link available for anybody who wants to join. So you're always welcome when I do that, or even upon requesting. But with that being said, thanks for dropping by, and you have a great evening. and pleasant sleep. Okay, that was a scary part to install right there. I was like worried I was gonna rip this ABS plastic in half, but luckily that went together. Okay, so this is supposed to fold up like that. Kill the truth, man. No, I'm kidding. It's a movie reference. I think I'm alone. Oh, there might be one viewer here. There's one mysterious viewer in the month of October. We drink beer in the name of Scotchtoberfest. Okay, this goes in like that. Wait a second. No, it's backwards. There we go. Now it's correct. There we go. It snapped in nice and proper. Oh my god, there's a lot of tiny parts here. I think we're building the nose to the core fighter right now. Might take a break here because it's getting, yeah, it's 3:02 a.m. This will just give me something to look forward to tomorrow. So yeah, this is the nose to the core fighter, and as I understand it, I think it kind of goes on the front of this somehow, and you know, I forget exactly how, but like, we'll see tomorrow. Yeah, way too many tiny parts. But for anybody who may be watching or may watch on the replay, I'll show you what we got here. Okay, so we just got this step. We completed this exact step right here. What comes next is taking the part that we have assembled more or less, where we created an individual part. Now we got to put this, and this on top of it, which these are all basically white parts, I believe, maybe white and blue. Then we attach the pilot. So yeah, this is actually gonna be a window. This is a cockpit window, or a canopy. And for some reason, there's two versions of that. I don't know if there's like different pilots, or it's like if you make a mistake, you have a second chance. But these, I may do some fine hand painting on these, just to make them look like the pilot. But luckily, it's a guy in a spacesuit, so I think I can just paint it, keep the white color, and add like a little blue to the helmet or something like that. Make it look like there's a glass window on the helmet. Then you got a tiny square piece over here, apparently. And then we got the part I already assembled, and the nose, which is basically what we just looked at, instructions on how to build it. And so some part here snaps together, and then this part has a hinge and a sliding mechanism. This part I already put in slides forward and back, which is kind of weird, but it'll make more sense once you have it assembled. And you put the V, golden colored V on there. The Gundam head folds up into the back here, so somehow you can fold the head down into the back of the core fighter. You attach some more parts to it. You attach the back of the core fighter, which is basically where it has that V shape, those yellow or golden V's, and the thrusters and all of that. In fact, that next step is the equivalent to this back part here, all of this. So you basically, after the last page, you'll have this yellow thing, and in fact, you're looking at it right here. You see like how this resembles this. Obviously, this is going to be larger, but you're attaching this to the back of the core fighter. And after a few more steps, there should be, yep, that's a fully functional core fighter right there. It's telling you how to add, I think, the landing gear, to put it on a display stand, which I don't think they give you a display stand. You got to buy that yourself. And then you got to do the arms. And the arms, okay, like that's just the shoulder, I think. Or is that the beam rifle? No, I think that's just the shoulder. Yeah, it's just the shoulder. So the shoulder is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10. Okay, I just named like 10 parts. I'm not even gonna keep counting, but I just named 10 parts. And I'm not even done counting, I don't think, but about at least 11, 12, 13, at least like 12 parts in the shoulder, depending on what you consider a part. And then you start working your way down the arm, the upper arm, and luckily you end up building the wrist. In fact, just the part that holds the... Oh, wow. The beam saber comes out of these little holders in the wrist, and this one actually gives you a place to store the beam saber in the wrist. But to build this little red thing here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I think you attach the beam shield over here. But you can also eject the beam saber, which I'm a little confused at how that works, but apparently they're going for that level of articulation and complexity. And you see, by a certain point, you have this much arm. There you go, that's the shoulder, and we still didn't attach the armor plates to the shoulder, but there's the shoulder. And you got like the parts that you would have built on the previous page already, luckily. And then you end up, you got to do that twice. You got to do both arms. And then after you have your arms, then you work on the upper body. And we've already did the core fighter. So the core fighter, or the cockpit and the core fighter, drop right here between the two shoulders and above the hips. And there's a shit ton of articulation in there. And you got the back right above the buttocks, basically. And that's like 2 pages right there. And then, you know, you can just see it. And we get to the lower body. And then we get to the legs. And then you got to do both legs. And I'm not even going to go crazy into detail on the legs. And luckily, by the time you're done, then you only have to do the weapons, which weapons are a little bit like they're not, like, you know, usually I'll skip the weapons for a while or do a half-ass job. This time I'm going to do a better job on the weapons, but because I practiced already. And then it looks like it's telling you how to finish building another core fighter, or is it telling you how to articulate it? I think these are articulation directions. See, those are the configurations right there. There's a lot of very complex articulation. I really should get like a display stand when I'm done building this. And then over here, I find this part a little weird. I feel like it should be more detailed, but maybe it's fine. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to go crazy about it. You got a color guide if you decide to paint it. There's apparently a Shakti statue in here somewhere. This is like Uso's best friend, basically, / girlfriend. This is the pilot, and it is nice that they show you the pilot, because I was right. You do have to paint the helmet blue, or gray and blue. Most of it is white, except for the seat belt, which is yellow. So some of that I could do with a Gundam marker, actually. And I'm going to avoid painting this as much as possible otherwise, because most of it's pre-colorized anyway. And especially when you start attaching water slide decals to it, I really want to avoid having any paint if I'm going to be doing water slide decals. And there's some areas that, you know, you do want to do a little touch-up paint, and there's other areas where you don't. In the cartoon, you don't really see a lot of these decals. So you can see like how there's a bunch of decals on the manual here. You don't see most of these decals in the animated series, but they do add a lot of nice detail when you really try to go all... when you really try to go all out. So anyway, I'm going to tidy up my desk now. And if anybody says hi in the chat, I'll be happy to chat with them. But I may just talk to myself for a couple minutes while I clean up. I'm going to do 2 Ziploc bags. Ziploc bags of parts that are just kind of free floating, or small sets of runners that I'm worried about losing, like this one here. So there's actually one obscenely tiny part in here somewhere. I'm aware of it. That's all that matters. But yeah, there it is. It's obscenely tiny. So don't want to lose it. Make sure the bag has no air in it, but it's also sealed. All right, there we go. Let's just see here. Let's go through all of the runners. All right, so we got the water slide decals right here. These we got to be careful. We don't get our sweat on these, but you can see these are just straight up water slide decals. I'm definitely afraid of using these. You got the Ligue Militaire. In fact, that's upside down. Ligue Militaire. And then you got the of the Ligue Militaire. It looks like a Federation thing. You get the idea. These for now I'm going to put in the bottom-most bag and kind of just like bury them face down where they can't come into contact with anything else in the thing. And same thing with this decals. I'm going to do that too. But you know, I want this to be protected, so you can see how I just put it in the bottom like that where it's protected. And then we have the beam shield, which is made out of TPU. And then we're going to just try to gently stack everything. We'll put the bags down first. And what I'm doing is I'm packing a bunch of extra Ziploc bags in here so that I have them available. So only thing is I should be real careful with the Gundam itself. Okay, we're going to try to squeeze it in like that. There we go. And then these bags will help to soften things up so that nothing gets like messed up, so to speak, right? And then we just put the manual in like that. And we should be in pretty good shape in terms of preventing any loss of parts. So yeah, you know, what's our progress? Well, I'll show you one more time. So far, we've made part of this. We've basically done the internal part of the nose, the head, part of the chest. We didn't do this yellow thing yet. We didn't do that part yet. We didn't do the window. We didn't do the rudder, etc. But yeah, we just did basically the hidden head, which is literally buried back here somewhere, and part of that core fighter. That, you know, we didn't even finish the core fighter today. Okay, so that's basically where I'm at. That's how much work I have ahead of me. For anybody watching now, I want to thank you for watching. For anybody watching on, shoot, I forgot to use these. I should have used these instead of the glass file, but that's okay. Glass file isn't bad. Just, I think it's a bit too strong. But anyway, yeah, so for anybody watching now, I want to thank you for watching. Please consider hitting that like button. For anybody watching on the replay, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please leave a comment. And for now, we shall end transmission as soon as I find the button, because it just occurred to me that I set up the stream in a different manner today, so I have to click end stream over here. So yeah, with that being said, we're going to end transmission on my mark.